50 years, Brazil have dominated international football. 5 times World Cup winners, no other nation has had so much success.
Absolutely brilliant!
Their yellow shirts have come to symbolize flamboyant football.
Brazilians aren't interested just in winning, they want to win with panache. And they're lucky that they can choose.
But for Brazil, success has not come easily. Their World Cup history is dominated by one of the biggest upsets in the tournament's history.
I was an 11-year-old child. You don't know much about life. You don't know much about the world. At the end of that World Cup, I thought that the worst thing in the world had happened to me.
It was a trauma that would take years of soul-searching to overcome. Soul-searching in 2 of the greatest footballers the world has ever seen.
Pelé. Oh, he saw the goalkeeper off the line. Garrincha. It's a goal, a beautiful goal by Garrincha.
When Pelé and Garrincha were played for the Brazilian team, Brazil never lost a match.
Pelé was the first true professional, Brazil's football ambassador.
Pelé was incredible. I still believe that Pelé is not from this planet. He came from somewhere.
Garrincha was the last amateur.
O Garrincha, na verdade, tinha tudo.
Garrincha shouldn't really have played football.
Era aleijado,
He was a cripple,
analfabeto,
illiterate,
alcoólatra.
alcoholic.
He wasn't the sort of player who usually scored. Garrincha promised to score all those goals for me.
There's Garrincha, it's a goal! Brazil!
That is the generation which really turned Brazil from losers to the best football country in the world.
This is the story of how, driven on by these 2 unlikely heroes, Brazilian football overcame its biggest setback to become the gold standard against which all future winners of the World Cup would be judged. Brazil hosted the World Cup in 1950. It was perfect timing for a young republic eager to make a mark on the international stage.
In Europe, the most significant dates of the 20th century are the dates of the World Wars. Brazil's never really been in a war, it doesn't really have any significant dates like that. The dates when Brazil feels most like a nation are the World Cups, so it divides its history into World Cups, and Brazil has been in every single World Cup, it's the only country to have done that.
Brazil had great potential, a vast multicultural country with huge natural resources. But it also had serious problems, not least with poverty. Football was the big unifier in Brazilian life, and the World Cup became the vehicle through which successive governments hoped to move the nation forward and show the world what it was capable of.
Mas na época,
At the time, winning the World Cup was the way to find out if Brazil was or wasn't a great nation. It's where the union of nation and football began. Football wasn't just the national sport, it was the country itself.
The eyes of the world would be on Brazil as never before, and they were determined to impress. The concrete manifestation of their ambition was the decision to build a new stadium to host the Cup. The Maracanã Stadium in Rio would not be just the biggest ground Brazil had ever seen, but the biggest in the world.
The very construction of the stadium was a status symbol for Brazilians because it was such a huge project. A stadium built for 200,000 people, that was 10% of the population of Rio de Janeiro, the capital of the Republic.
The Maracanã. A citadel of football was ready in record time for the opening of the tournament. On the 24th of June, 1950, in the opening game, Brazil defeated Mexico 4-0. Other big victories followed: 7-1 against Sweden, 6-1 against Switzerland. This tournament had a unique format with group matches for every stage. But the last game was still the deciding one, and Brazil reached it needing only a draw to win the cup. It was a game no one who was there would ever forget.
The game would start at 3 p.m. We got there at the stadium at 10 in the morning. But the time went by because the whole stadium, after 1 hour or so, was full. And there was this festivity thing. Everybody told this 11-year-old boy, the newspapers, the radios, my family, the friends, the guy who came to my house to sell milk, Brazil is already the world champion.
There's a newspaper, an early edition of O Mundo, came out in the morning with a picture of the world champions. There's this feeling that, of course, they were going to win. They'd never even considered that they wouldn't win.
They'd never played a game as important as this, but their opponents, neighbours and rivals Uruguay had. Uruguay had already won the World Cup once, when they hosted the first ever tournament in 1930. The World Cup was the brainchild of Frenchman Jules Rimet. He created it as a competition for football away from the Olympics, to build the popularity of the game and reap its own financial reward. Uruguay's win on home turf was a feat Brazil were now hoping to emulate. As kickoff approached in the 1950 final, Brazilian striker Friaça shared the team's optimism.
I got up normally in the morning. I was happy, calm, full of optimism.
With doves flapping above the packed Maracanã, Brazil's date with destiny finally got underway. But it wasn't until the second half that the moment Brazilians had been expecting came.
I received the ball more or less on the halfway line. Zizinho passed to me, and I went past their right winger and centre half. I came into the box and I shot. There were 3 sports journalists, and they came straight over and jumped on top of me and almost suffocated me.
The crowd went wild. Everyone was already celebrating the victory. People were throwing confetti, ribbons, shouting, "Brazil, champions!"
We forgot something very important. This Uruguayan team was excellent, and our team wasn't as excellent as we thought.
In the 66th minute, Uruguay turned the game on its head.
Gigia, the Uruguayan right winger, did a little dribble around Bigode, who slipped as he tried to get the ball. He got to the touchline and crossed.
It was right there. I was in the second row and I saw the ball right in front of me.